This feels super inappropriate to do with a hot chocolate right next to me. Where is it? Out of frame? It's not out of frame. Okay, fine. I'm just going to own it. This is a SURI. I always say that. It's because I revert to Japan. SURI. This is a SURI toothbrush. I'm going to say this right off the bat. The SURI adverts really pee me off. I get absolutely spammed with them. And I also really don't like an advert that is slagging off other brands. I understand why they're doing it, but I'm just like, can't you extol the benefits of what you're providing? Instead of going, the toothbrush brands give you nonsense, Bluetooth and stuff, just go, this is really sustainable. It's got an aluminium case. It's got these heads that we recycle, that sort of stuff. I want to hear that. I want to feel good about what I'm buying. I think the other factor to this, I don't think it's just in my head, but the negative adverts make me question every single thing that this toothbrush is doing. And that makes me a bit resentful. Long story short, I like this toothbrush, but it took me a while to come around to it. And I don't think that's the sort of marketing that's working. But at the end of the day, it's a guilt trip. It's basically saying, you've bought a toothbrush from another brand. You're stupid. Don't do it again. Buy this one. I want to be part of a good news story, not a bad news story. You might rightly go, Emily, why did you buy it? And that is because my toothbrush was coming to the end of its life and I wanted an ultrasonic one. It was between Philips Sonicare and SURI, and the SURI was less expensive, so I went with the SURI. It was really weird to begin with. So you have a different brushing technique with this than you do with an Oral-B, which is what I had before. You have to hold it at 45 degrees, whereas before, I don't know, I was holding it flat on, making sure I got the gums, and just like, I guess still holding it, but it felt really weird because this vibrates quite a lot as well. And it tickled. It really tickled to start with. You do get used to it though. I also definitely brush for more than 2 minutes at a time, and this auto turns off, so you just have to turn it back on again. It's not a massive issue, but it does make me go, oh, I'm over brushing. I need to watch it. I've not been told by my dentist that I am over brushing, so I don't think I'm holding it too hard or anything, but it's something to be aware of. And also, if you are over brushing, then that's time that you don't have to be spending in your day brushing your teeth. I've had this a couple of weeks. I haven't had to charge it yet, so its battery thus far is good, but to be honest, I'm used to toothbrush batteries lasting like a couple of years and then just going, nope, not anymore, not holding any charge. I can't give you an answer on that one yet. Thus far it's working, but it was supposed to be working. The packaging it came in, I have a little bit of an issue with. So like, it's quite neat, snazzy packaging, quite modern, very cardboardy, but the toothbrush heads, it looks like there should be 3 in the packet, but you were only sent 1, which feels, for a brand that's supposed to be sustainable, it just feels a bit inappropriate. I don't want to be thinking about buying another head basically as soon as I've got it. I would rather spend a little bit more money, have the 3 heads, and not have to think about it for a while, because I've already put a fair amount of money into this toothbrush. Yes, I bought it in the Black Friday sale, and yes, I got the version 1, not the version 2, and apparently the difference between them is that the version 2's got a pressure sensor, but I'm normally alright on pressure, so I wasn't too worried about that, and I didn't want to spend the extra money. That made me feel quite annoyed about it, but I was coming into it being annoyed because I felt like I'd been pressured into buying it because of all the negative marketing about the other brands. So I wasn't going, hey, I finally got a sustainable brand that I care about. I was going, I've got this more sustainable toothbrush, partly because it was cheaper. And then I was just like, well, now I'm going to have to stock up on heads. It's just an extra irritation. And the heads themselves, £15 for 3, that's £5 per head. When you buy a car, even though you spend a lot of money on the car, there's not a massive margin on it. It's like, I think 3%, but where they're actually making money is on the service charge. So I think service charges are normally like 20% margin. I think that's probably similar to these toothbrushes. They're probably making a fair margin on the heads, probably not quite as much on the actual manufacturer of the device. What they don't emphasize in the adverts, or at least the ones that have been targeted at moi, is that you can send these heads back and they will dispose of them properly to recycle them, extract these nylon-y bits and like split them up. But what I would rather is to do that myself. I'd rather pay a little bit of money for a kit to be able to dispose of this properly, then send it back with the extra air miles and whatever, and pay a £5 per head. But they could be targeting that differently. They could be like, hey, you know, yeah, it's a little bit expensive to buy new heads. We recommend that you do it every month or however long, but what you get out of it is, look, this amount isn't going into landfill, because if you do it locally, then this, like, that is what I want to see. I would be more inclined to think that way if that were the case. Realistically, if I were to do that, I would be accumulating a pile of these to send back in a wanna, so I'd have more crap in my house. I would so much rather have a toolkit, be able to extract these nylon brushy bits, and just divvy it up at home, assuming that's something that I can do. But if you do buy this, you do have to factor that in. I'm not sure whether there's dupes on the market for this. I know for Philips Sonicare there are. I imagine actually if you had a 3D printer, you could probably make a dupe, but this nylon-y bit, that's where you're gonna have a bit of trouble. But also we had some dupes for our Oral-B. I remember one of them was attached by a bit of metal and it came off in my mouth. And it almost cut my lip. It was really bad. So I'm a little bit skeptical about it. I don't like buying stuff and putting the price on for the sake of it, but also that did scar me a little bit. What I also don't understand about toothbrush heads is you've got quite a lot of plastic to replace. I don't understand why it can't just be this bit. I feel like there's more that could be done to make that eco-friendly, because even if they said, hey look, the reason we're doing this is for hygiene purposes, but actually split it into two, because I mean that's like half of what you send back. Doesn't make sense to me. Just surely you chop it off there, replace that bit, and continue with your life. For hygiene purposes, if you could take that bit off and then boil it or something, surely that would do the trick. In terms of getting used to this compared with my original toothbrush, it is a lot slimmer and it felt really weird to start with. It felt like it was too slim, but actually, again, I've gotten used to it. So this is fine now. I don't have any issues with it. It also makes sense in a practical way, because if you're trying to transport this, that's less luggage. I did not purchase the cleaning case with this, partly because I've seen some studies where UV lights in consumables, it isn't actually effective at killing bacteria. I think infrared is, but I'm not convinced that the efficacy of it. So I wasn't going to pay the extra. We're not traveling too much right now. When we were traveling with the Oral-B cases, we ended up not using them because they were just a bit bulky and they took up too much space. I just took my toothbrush apart. So I took the head off and then put it in one of my antler mini cases anyway, and it just took up no extra space. If you do transport it, you do want to think about protecting the head though, because that could get quite grubby quite quickly. Something that surprised me a little bit in person was the design, because I wasn't massively taken with any of the designs. Normally I wouldn't go for white because I don't know, I just think it's a little bit boring. I was maybe thinking about the blue. I have quite a lot of bits of pink, so I wasn't massively keen on the pink, even though it's like quite a pleasant pink. It wasn't my time with it. So it was kind of between the green, the white, the pink and the blue. The blue is a bit more expensive. The green Francis should have, and we don't want the same colour toothbrush because that is like an administrative nightmare. And I ended up with white. Now I will say that in person it looks a lot nicer than in the marketing images. It just looks kind of boring. In person it's got kind of pearly sheen to the body that I do quite like, and then the head itself, it's got a little bit of engraving, and I quite like a bit of an engraving, a little S on the back. You know when they do ocean recycled plastics, they've got a little bit of like graininess in the plastic. So that is present on the head, and that's quite interesting. It makes you go, actually, this feels quite premium. So those are nice features. I've been told that if you were to get the cleaning transport case, then you just put your toothbrush in it and you can plug that case in with a USB-C. The actual chargers for these are a bit naff. They look like they should have two toothbrushes on, but they don't. It's just one. I mean, that isn't necessarily helping it, but I think they're expecting you to get the transport case, but we didn't. So if that really bugs you, I would go for the transport case and spend the extra 10, 15 quid on that. It just sounds like a phone alarm. I'll get used to it. Any electric toothbrush sounds weird. This charger feels very weak and feeble. And that's why I've kept this one in the box, because I want to have a spare. It's on the old USB as it is. It's tricky to get out of the box and it just feels really flimsy. The toothbrush is just not really securely. I mean, I know it's wireless and stuff. It looks like it should be a wireless charger and then you should be able to fit two toothbrushes on it. That's not what it is. I don't like that, but equally it's not one of those weird bathroom plugs, so I suppose there's that. It doesn't feel quality. Overall, I have begrudgingly come round to this purchase. I don't know that I would get it again, only because I'm expecting this to last a few years, like my Oral-B one did. I think we bought that in 2021 and then it's 2025 now that it decided to pop its clogs, and it always happens really quickly. It always just goes, you know what, charge for me is just not something that I wish to hold on to. So I'm expecting this to last until at least 2029, I hope. Otherwise I'll be quite irritated. Apparently it's been made so that you can send it back and they can replace components, so it's a bit more eco-friendly that way. But again, I would like to be able to do that myself. I'd like to be able to order the components and do it here. I know they have to ship the stuff to you, but it feels more eco-friendly to do that. I really quite like the ability to be able to fix it myself. I rate brands that do that. So the fact that, yeah, they hypothetically make it so that it can be fixed, but you can't do it, just feels like another reason that you have to stick with them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They want it to be done right and they want to uphold a certain level of niceness and I don't know, brand fanciness. I imagine that's the reason they're doing it. That does make me hesitate. I'm hoping that by the time I next have to get a toothbrush, then there'll be more options on the market for stuff that I can do more with. I want to tinker with a little bit. That's maybe who I am. Maybe some people would just prefer to send it off. I would much rather, in the time that it would take me to send the toothbrush off, wait for it and be without a freaking toothbrush for a while. I'd much rather spend half an hour dismantling it, putting a new battery in and continuing with my life, and then I've got the control. But that could just be me. I'm not mad about it. I think they've got the marketing wrong. It's a nice product. It's comparable to the other ones out there. It does the job. And I will say my teeth, compared to my Oral-B, feel pretty clean. They got some staining off that my Oral-B didn't. That's nice. It's not been a total transformation, but I did notice that. I don't think you'll be disappointed with it as long as you don't come in with like expectations of it being the most eco-friendly thing ever and saving you loads of money long term, because I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a competitor to the big brands that is a bit more eco-friendly. It's nice to see a competitor. You can tell that the marketing thing's really clouded me over. I really want to like it. I'm just peed off at the marketing. So that's where I land on it. Is it worth getting as a present to somebody? You could. It's a nice product. You are committing that person to spending a £5 on toothbrush heads every month for the foreseeable. That's not ideal. Depends how much you like them. Maybe you want them to fall into that trap. To be honest, I think it's probably one of the better options out there. And again, I'm not a toothbrush expert, but it is nice. I really want to like it more than I do. Those are the key takeaways from this review. I hope that lack of a final verdict has given you that push you needed on the decision of whether or not to get this toothbrush, either for yourself or somebody special this Christmas. Have a lovely rest of your day and see you tomorrow. Bye.